Hey everybody. Um, this is gonna be the first Mommyhood vlog I've done in what has it been? 2 years almost? Wow. Like I said, I don't know why I stopped doing them, but well, life. That's why I stopped doing them. But I'm just gonna I'm not gonna pick up where I left off at because that was like nearly 2 years ago. So I'm in a new place now. As you guys know, I'm engaged now. I just recently had my daughter, so now I'm a mommy of two. I'm an engaged mommy of two, so my life has changed a lot in the past 2 years. So I'll just discuss MJ and how he's doing. Uh, he's very advanced. He's a very smart child. He knows his ABCs, his one, two, threes. Um, he could count to 30. He knows his days of the week, months of the year. Um, when we're like, wherever we're at, be it the park, in the house, just sitting watching TV, he's very observant. He'll point and say what it is. Like, we were going somewhere yesterday, and I think we were at the stoplight or whatever. So he saw an accessoride bus, sitting waiting for the light to change, and he said accessoride, and I'm like, this boy is smart. Like he points out stuff whenever he sees it. He'll point it out. Accessoride, bus, park, school bus, person, sun, moon, airplane. Like, he's very smart, and I'm so proud of him. For him to only be two, and he's like a sponge, soaking up like so much knowledge, and I love it. So he's like very funny. He is the greatest big brother ever. Oh my God. He loves his little sister. Because when I was pregnant, MJ, he wasn't two yet. He was like, when I found out I was pregnant, he was, I think, like 27 months or something like that. And I had my daughter in August, and MJ's birthday is in September. So my whole entire pregnancy, he was always up under me, always up under me. He would fall asleep on my stomach. Like, if he was fussing, all he had to do was lay on my stomach, and he would go right to sleep. And everybody was telling me, this was before I knew what I was having. Everybody was telling me, you having a girl, because if you were having a boy, he wouldn't want anything to do with you. And I'm like, really? They were like, yeah. So that's when I found out that I was having a girl. So now that she's here, when they first met, he didn't really understand what was going on. So he was like very, he was a little bit like, not right now. I don't know what's going on. But, as soon as me and my fiance and, his parents said, oh, come meet your sister, oh, sister? So he knew, that's my sister. So, from then on, it's been, if she cries, he'll give her pacifier. If her bottle is there and he feels like she's hungry, he'll give her bottle. He tries to hold her. If she's fussing or whatever, he's like, don't cry, sister. Don't cry, sister. And because I call her mamas, that's my nickname for her, he'll be like, mamas, hush, mamas, don't cry. It's so cute. So, yeah, he's growing up. He's very tall now. He's like up to my hip, believe it or not. So he's very tall, very smart. Oh, I love him so much. The first night that they were home together, it was a little bit crazy because it's like my daughter wouldn't sleep because she knew he was there. So when I put her in the bed with me and him, she fell asleep. Isn't that crazy? They're like really close. So, when I gave birth to my daughter, Okay, first of all, this is how it went. The day that I gave birth to my daughter, the day before that, I had my prenatal appointment, and they were telling me, oh, if you don't give birth by then we'll schedule you to be induced or whatever. So I'm like, okay. So they were checking, her heartbeat and looking at my stomach through the monitor, and the technician said to me, you're contracting. And I'm like, I'm contracting? She's like, yeah, you're contracting. And I'm like, I don't feel anything. It just feels like gas. I don't, my stomach doesn't hurt. I just feel gas. So, they kept running in and out of the room, and I'm like getting worried, like, what's going on? So the I guess the head person in charge said, well, you got to be induced. Your fluid levels are low, and you have to be induced. And I'm like, okay. So, I'm calling around letting people know, okay, well, they're telling me I have to give birth or whatever. So I came home, grabbed packed my hospital bag, grabbed it, went back to the hospital that night. And when I got there, at first, the nurse was saying, no, not, I think she was one of the midwives, I don't know. But she was telling me, well, I don't know why they sent you here. It doesn't look like anything is wrong, but let me double check. So then she double checked, and she was like, oh, okay, they sent you here because your fluid levels are low, so you have to be induced, or you could risk, I guess like birth defects with the baby. So I didn't want to do that. I mean, I wasn't ready to give birth or anything, but I also didn't want to risk giving birth to a baby and allowing something to happen to, my baby while I'm still carrying her, when I could have prevented it by giving birth to her when they told me to. So they set me up in the hospital room that night. She gave me like these little pills that you put like here, like they dissolve here, like you have to put them there and you have to go like this and they dissolve and they kickstart your contractions. So I mean, when she first gave them to me, I wasn't really feeling anything. It was like little bitty cramps here and there. But baby, by morning, I wanted to, excuse my language because I'm trying to slack up on cursing, slap a bitch. It was terrible. I was sitting up, I was like, okay, see, the first time I got the epidural with my son, because I didn't know what to expect, and the doctors also told me that if I get the epidural at a certain time, instead of waiting, it'll be a better chance of it working. So I just went ahead and did it. This time around, I tried to hold out as long as I could. I did good though, because the majority of my labor, I didn't have the epidural. It wasn't until maybe, I'd say 3 hours before I was gonna give birth to her. That's when I was like, oh, F this. I need the epidural. And the one thing I hate about the epidural is that they want you to stay still while they put that damn needle in your back while you're contracting. It doesn't work that way. First of all, it hurts. You feel pressure from the needle. It's uncomfortable. And you gotta sit up and you gotta sit with your back like hunched like this so that they could get a good, to stick it in your back. I don't even want to say it because it sounds painful because it is. But that hurts. And then you're sitting on the table contracting like crazy, but they want you to stay still. You can't stay still during a contraction. When a contraction comes, you gotta like, you do something. And me, I tense up. When I get contractions, I tense up like this. So it's like crazy. But when he finally put it in, he said to me, you were the most difficult person I had to deal with putting epidural. And I said, listen, I'm in pain, and you trying to get me to keep still while I'm in pain, it's not working. I'm sorry, I can't help it, I'm in pain, so what can we do? So then, finally, because I guess I was dilated, like, I guess over 5 centimeters or whatever. So then, that's when my midwife came in, and she's like, oh, she's like, usually when you come into the office, you're always smiling, and you're always so sweet. It's so sad to see you in pain like this. I said, I know. I know I'll be back to smiling once I had his baby. But she came in, she measured me, she ruptured my membranes, and then it was time for me to go into the delivery room and push. And see, with my son, I had to push like maybe a good 6 or 7 times for him to come out. With my daughter, all it took was 3 pushes, and she popped out. My midwife took her, threw her right on my chest. And I just looked at her. I looked at her and I cried. And I'm like, oh my God. So after they washed her up, they gave her back to me. I held her for a little bit. And then they took her to the nursery. So, it was cool. It was, I mean, she was born August 16th at 1:54 p.m. And, me giving birth to her and giving birth to my son, similarities and differences. I mean, regardless, you in pain. You in major pain, no matter what. But I was in the hospital for 2 days. She was in the hospital for 4. And the reason why she was in the hospital for 2 extra days is because she had jaundice. I didn't tell anybody at the time because I was just an emotional mess. When they basically, because what they did was the night before I was supposed to be discharged, they came in my room and just took her to the nursery and woke me up out my sleep. And I'm like, what's going on? And they're like, yeah, well, she has jaundice, so we have to put her under the light. And we have to make sure, all of that comes out of her system before she comes home. So the whole entire time they had her in the incubator with the light, I was at the nursery just looking at her. Because, I know they use those incubators for premature babies and they use them for babies who have jaundice. But just the fact of me seeing a baby in an incubator just makes me uncomfortable. It doesn't matter what it could be for. It just makes me uncomfortable. So I would just go to the nursery and stand there and watch her. And, she would just be laying there and they would have the light on her to bring down her, levels of bilirubin. That's what, causes the jaundice. So, when it was time for me to leave and my fiance came and picked me up, I was a mess. I was an emotional mess. I came home, I was in tears, I couldn't sleep. I was in agony because my milk was arriving and my boobs were sore. It was just so much. It was crazy. So the whole 2 days that she was in the hospital, I was cleaning up, and setting up the room, more for her. I was pumping because I had a lot of milk, and they also told me that if I breastfeed her and make sure it produce milk for her, that'll help with the jaundice. So I was a pumping fool in here. Every hour I was pumping. And I filled up a whole bunch of bottles and took it to them. And I was calling every hour. Is she okay? Is she alright? Do you need more milk? Is she okay? Is her levels going down? They were like, yeah, just call back tomorrow. And no, leave us your number and we'll call you and we'll let you know. I was still calling. So then finally, one of the nurses called me and she was like, yeah, her levels are going down. Hopefully she'll be able to be discharged today. I'll call you back in a few hours to let you know. So she called me back a few hours later and said, yep, she's good. She can go home. And she was discharged and we brought her home and that was the happiest day of my life. So, it was rough because with my son, he didn't have jaundice. He was fine. Me and him left the hospital the same day. But with her, I was just an emotional wreck. But it wasn't as bad. But, after you have a baby, your body is going through all these crazy changes. You actually go through contractions after you have the baby because your body is going back, your walls and everything is going back to normal. Your boobs are sore because your milk is coming in. Your lower body is sore because, you had your legs up during labor to push out a baby. So your inner thighs, everything. So you were just exhausted. And people who've never had babies and men, if only you knew what our bodies go through. I mean, even if you haven't had a baby, it's just like your period when you get stomach cramps, but it's like times a zillion. Like, just picture that. Stomach cramps times a zillion. That's what labor is. So, ever since then, everything's been good. My daughter's name is Nylamarie. Like I said, I named her after my grandmother. And she's very advanced too. Like, she started teething at 2 months. I kid you not. She was teething at 2 months. Now she's talking her baby gibberish. It is just so adorable. And I just love it. I love her to death. I mean, she's a tough cookie. She's tougher than my son. She keep me on my toes, but I love her to death. I love her so much, and I'm so glad I finally got my girl like I always wanted. So now, life as a mommy of 2 is, well, I'm going to just say, life as a mommy of 2 it has its highs and its lows. Like, sometimes the both of them, like, they'll be in sync with the fussing and the crying and all of that. Sometimes they'll be in sync. Or sometimes my son, he'll be a big help, and he'll help me change her diaper. He'll, just all kinds of things. So, it has its peaks, its peaks and valleys or whatever, but it's pretty good. Like, when me and my fiance get together, he take one, I take the other. Like, that's what it is. Either I take my son, he takes my daughter, or vice versa, but we work together with it. And, I feel like me, like, in my personal life, I'm still battling having my own identity and also being a mom. Like, I'm still trying to figure out what makes me happy, because I put my all into taking care of my kids. A lot of times I forget about me. So, when the opportunity presented itself, I went, got my hair done, got my nails done, got my feet done. I just went and pampered myself, because as a mother, you do need that. I mean, most times when we go out and do it, we feel guilty about it, because it's like, shouldn't we be doing something for our kids? But it's like, you shouldn't feel guilty. You do everything. If you do everything for your kids all the time, you deserve just at least a few minutes to yourself. There's no harm in that. And I'm the type, I go shopping, I walk past clothes for me and go straight to the baby clothes. It's sad. Or I'll, if I'm supposed to be getting like detergent or food or something for me, I go right to the baby aisle and be like, okay, I gotta get these size diapers, I gotta get milk. Like, it's crazy how much a baby can change your life. So to all you new mommies out there, prepare. It's not about you anymore. It is no longer about you. It is about that little one. So prepare yourself. And all my veteran mommies, y'all know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so I'm just still battling, my identities, Teesha the person versus Teesha the mom. I'm trying to bring them two together and just create one solid person. But sometimes the two clash. And I mean, that happens. It's life, and that's all a part of being a parent. So I've just been taking care of business as usual, and that's about it. But I mean, life has been a little bit tougher, but it's nothing I can't handle. I feel like I kick ass at motherhood. I do, and I love my kids dearly. So I'm just doing whatever I can as a mother and as an adult to make sure my kids are good, that they want for nothing. And they don't want for nothing. They're 2 happy, healthy babies, and that's all I could wish for. So they're happy, I'm happy, and that's all that matters. But I just figured I'd update you guys and, bring back the Mommyhood diary, because I do enjoy doing them, especially for, new mommies, because there's a lot of people who are having babies this year, and, they don't know what to expect. So that's why I do the Mommyhood diaries, so that they'll know, give you a little information, a little advice, whatever you take from it, good. Everybody's experience is different because a lot of people will ask that, what is motherhood like? And I always tell people, motherhood depends on you. So it's like you can't go by somebody else's experience. You have to. It's something that you have to go through yourself. You know. Because a lot of people will ask, how is motherhood? And another thing that I've learned becoming a mom is you are never comfortable. Never ever. And that is the whole entire truth. You could be trying to relax, get you some sleep, whatever. Your baby will wake up when you trying to sleep and you have to tend to them. Or, if you're someplace and you have to nurse, you have to, if you out in public, I mean, I don't have anything against nursing in public, and I don't know why it's such an uproar when mothers do it. But I mean, some people in this world, they too immature to understand the benefits of breastfeeding. So I would advise mothers who breastfeed just to cover up. But I don't think you should ban a mother from nursing her child out in public. When a baby's got to eat, they got to eat, no questions asked. But, when it comes to that, whenever it's time to breastfeed, you breastfeed. But you are just never ever comfortable. You can't get comfortable. Like with a sleep schedule, you cannot get comfortable with a sleep schedule because they could sleep lovely on Monday, be up all day Tuesday, sleep in spurts Wednesday. Like, you just never know. So that's another thing I learned about being a mom, is that you are never ever comfortable. And I mean, that's just what comes with it. But I enjoy it. I enjoy motherhood, and I love my kids dearly. So, yeah, that's that. So I really want to catch up with you guys about, and I'll see you in the next vlog. Have a good one. Thank you for watching. Later.